Making professional video as a filmmaker and getting brand deals as a content creator all starts with a video that needs editing. Well, you've made the right choice choosing Adobe Premiere, as it's the most commonly accepted professional editing software. And when you combine that with this complete beginner's tutorial, you're gonna be able to go from opening Premiere, maybe for the first time, to finishing and delivering professional video in 7 steps. We'll go from having a bunch of unedited, ungraded clips to a full 30-second piece ready for upload. I'll cover everything you need to know, from setting up a project, doing the edit, adding effects and transitions, audio sweetening, adding professional titles, color grading, and exporting, all from a project with footage you can download from ArtGrid. And I've got a special trick up my sleeve that will make your films look more cinematic in the blink of an eye. Step 1, setting up a project. When we fire up Premiere, we're first greeted by a welcome page where you can easily access recent projects or create a new one. It's your first time here, so let's go for a new one. A new window shows up where we can give the project a name and choose its location. From here, you can select files or entire folders to import to Premiere. This is a new option added to the 2022 update. You can try it out, but I prefer to go the traditional route and import files after the project is already created. So let's click Create. There's a section for managing your project files and organizing your footage, the source monitor to view your clips, the timeline monitor to watch the final edits, an effects control panel where we can change the properties of clips and effects, and the timeline itself at the bottom where we assemble the edit. Now, I know this may seem intimidating when you look at all this for the first time, but we're gonna go through each one of these, and spending just a little bit of time in each, it'll become more familiar, and then it'll just become second nature. So we first need to set up our project, which is essentially a directory where Premiere contains all your footage and assets, as well as sequences containing your edits. Here in the project panel, I can create bins or folders where we can organize our footage. I'll create a new one by hitting the bin icon, give it a name, in this case Lifeguard, and hit enter. Now let's import our footage inside the Lifeguard bin we just created. Double click over the bin so it opens up in its own panel, then go to File, Import, and browse to the folder containing the clips from ArtGrid. You'll be able to download these with watermarks, and I'll include a link in the description so you can follow along with me. Select the clips and hit Import. And we can now see our clips inside the Lifeguard bin. Since we're gonna be adding sound effects, music, and a voiceover track, I'm gonna create a new bin, call it Audio, then import the audio into the bin. With the project set up and our footage imported, we're now on to step 2, making the edit. To begin, we need to create what Premiere calls a sequence, which is the timeline where we create the actual edit. To do that, hit the New Item button and choose Sequence from the menu. The new sequence window pops up, and here we'll give it a name and choose the settings for our sequence from a variety of presets, or go directly to settings to dial in the exact ones. In this case, I'll choose a 1080p resolution with 24 frames per second as our frame rate, then hit OK. Now we can select which parts of the clips we want to add to the edit, and then drag them down to the timeline here. Double-clicking on a clip will load it into the source clip monitor here. Then using the playhead, we can scrub through the clip, or to watch it in real time, just hit the spacebar to play and stop it. To make this super easy in assembling our edit, we want to set what are called in and out points, or at what point in each clip to begin and end. The easiest way to do this, and the method you'll for sure want to adopt, is using the hotkeys on the keyboard, where I sets an in point where the clip is to begin, and the key O sets an out point where we want the clip to end. You can also just drag the extents of the in and out points if that makes more sense to you, but believe me, the hotkeys are a lot quicker. Then when we're ready, just click over the clip and drag it into our timeline. What we see here in our timeline is the final edit, or what our audience sees. So now let's put together a little edit by doing the same for the other clips until we have a little sequence or scene. Here a man is drowning in the ocean, a lifeguard spots him, swims out to him, and finally saves him. I encourage you to do this as well, and don't worry too much about the order right now. I just want you to become familiar with the process of putting clips in the timeline, and then we'll fine tune. With all the clips in the timeline, we can navigate through the edit with the playhead or stop and start with the spacebar. To have a better view of the edit, we can zoom in and out with this slider-like control. With a rough cut in place, let's finesse the edit. In this beginner's tutorial, we're only going to explore the most common tools that you'll need to know when first starting out so you can feel rest assured you got this. The editing tools are found here with their respective hotkeys, which you'll find yourself using as this makes life easier and faster. V is for the selection tool, which is the default tool or mouse. It lets us move the clips around. For example, let's say I want this clip of the man already saved by the lifeguard to happen at the end of the edit. I'll select it and drag it to the end. To get rid of the empty space left, I can click over the space to select it and hit delete. I can do the same to position a clip above others. I'll move this clip of the man drowning and put it on top of this clip of the lifeguard swimming. Before moving any further with the selection tool, let's make sure that the snap in timeline option is enabled. You can turn it on or off with this icon on the left side. With snap off, you'll see if I drag a clip on top of another and try to line it up evenly, you can see it's really hard to be precise in lining it up. But when I turn the snap feature on, as I approach the cut point, it snaps right into place. So most of the time I'll leave snapping on and I'll just turn it off sometimes when I need more manual control. Coming back to the selection tool, we can use it to change the in and out points of clips in the timeline. I'll hover over the beginning of this clip of the lifeguard standing on the shore, which right now is too long. I'll click, and we can then drag left or right to make it longer or shorter. And then go to the end of the clip and do the same. Then comes one of the most important editing tools of all, the razor. Anytime we need to make a simple cut, press hotkey C, position the cursor where we want to make a split, for example, this clip here of the man drowning, click to make the cut, and then with the selection tool, which is hotkey V, we can then select this section and move it to a different part of the edit. Next comes the rolling edit tool, or hotkey N. With it, you hover the cursor over a cut, then as you drag left or right, we can trim one clip while the other gets extended. For example, over this cut between the two different angles of the lifeguard rescuing the drowning man, moving left and right, we can choose a different cut point that suits the action better. And with the slip tool, or hotkey Y, if you position the cursor over the middle of a clip by clicking and dragging left or right, we can change the in and out points without changing the duration or placement of the clip in the timeline. How about that? Other helpful things worth knowing is Z for zoom. Just click to zoom in on any part of the edit, or option click to zoom out. There are a few other tools in here that you can experiment with, but the ones mentioned you can start editing right away. All these shots were recorded in slow motion, but let's say we want the last section of the edit where the man is finally saved to play out a little faster. We select the clip we want to modify, right click and select speed/duration from the menu. We can type in a custom speed percentage or even reverse the clip. In our case, let's go for 150% so it finishes faster. So far, we've been talking about video, but what about sound? Well, fortunately, sound is similar to video, where we can select in and out points of audio clips and drag them into the edit. From there, we can trim, cut, and move the audio around the same as we would for video. For this edit, I'll add a voiceover, making sure it fits with the duration of the edit, add a few water splash effects to add to the drama of the man drowning, and finally, a dramatic music track that I'll trim to the right duration. Now if I play this back,
Drowning. I was sure to meet an untimely death until an ocean angel lifted.
you'll notice the audio clips are too loud where they're competing with each other. So to change the volume, just select the clip, go to the Effect Controls panel, and change the volume level down. I'll bring down the volume of the water effects a lot, the music down just a bit, and the voiceover up.
Drowning in the ocean depths. I was sure to meet an untimely death until an ocean angel lifted.
This is just a quick correction. We'll further finesse the audio in the sweetening step. Now let's jump into step 3, effects and transitions, which can be found here in the effects panel. Open the video transitions folder, and here we'll find transitions for dissolves, blurs, wipes, you name it. To add a transition, simply drag it over top of the cut. Most of these transitions can be distracting and even corny, like the iris diamond. So we'll stick to the one used most often, which is the dissolve. Let's try it here between the first clip of the man drowning and the lifeguard on the beach. To modify the transition's duration, hover the cursor over the left or right edges of the transition and drag left or right. To move the transition so it begins a little earlier or later, hover over the middle of the transition and drag left or right. Let's play it back. I don't think the transition works for this part, but I would like to begin with the dissolve from black to the first clip. So we'll add a dissolve transition at the beginning. We can also apply transitions to audio clips as well. The reason you do this is so that we get a fade-in effect that goes along with the dissolve from black to video. We'll do that by going to the audio transitions folder and apply a crossfade at the beginning of the music and sound effects. That looks good. Then for video effects, go to the video effects folder. Here we'll find blurs, distortions, keying effects, and so on. So let's say for this last shot, we want to create some blur at the edges of the image to focus our attention more on the characters. I'll go for the Gaussian blur effect, and to apply it, we'll click and drag the effect over top of the clip. With the clip selected, we can modify the blur effect in the Effect Controls panel. By the way, the Effect Controls panel is where we can adjust all the properties for the clips like the opacity, position, scale, and rotation. Here we can open the control for the effect and create a mask. Going into the program monitor, we can click over the mask and adjust its position, size, and add some feathering. Back to the Control Effects panel, we can bring up the blurriness amount and invert it. Let's see the before and after. It focuses our attention more and makes the image a little foggy, like there's actual fog or water on the lens. All the other properties in the Effect Controls panel, like position and scale, can be modified and animated too. For example, let's say we want to add a slow push-in on this clip. To do that, we'll position the playhead at the beginning of the clip and then hit the stopwatch icon for the scale property. This locks it in or saves the current position. We'll then move the playhead to the end of the clip, change the scale to, let's say, 130%, and Premiere will automatically create an animated keyframe for that value. Now, when we play the clip, we have a digital zoom as those values change over time. And what's awesome is this can be applied to any effect or property in the Effect Controls panel where we have the stopwatch icon. Okay? Isn't this awesome, the things you'll be able to do here inside of Premiere Pro? So now that we have our edit and some video effects, let's do some audio sweetening for step number 4. Now, we already made some audio adjustments in step 2, adjusting some of the levels, but how do you make this sound like a professional audio mix? Well, that's where audio sweetening comes in, and I'm gonna show you exactly what to do. The most important audio in our edit is the voiceover track. Going back to the effects panel, under audio effects, filter, and EQ, you'll find the parametric equalizer. Let's apply it to the voiceover track, go to the Effect Controls panel, and to open the interface, click the Edit button. From here, we'll choose the Vocal Enhancer preset. Let's hear the before and after.
I was sure to meet an untimely death, until an ocean angel lifted me up. I came back to life with a breathless gulp.
The middle frequencies get enhanced so the voice sounds more clear and has more presence. Next, by going back to audio effects, go to amplitude and compression, and apply the multiband compressor. We'll open the interface and select the broadcast preset. This will automatically modulate the levels of the voice so it sounds more even and fuller.
I was sure to meet an untimely death, until an ocean angel lifted me up.
What's actually happening here is it's bringing the quiet levels up and the louder levels down. Finally, let's select the music track, apply the parametric equalizer to it, and bring the 1 kHz frequency down a bit and change the width of the curve. What this is doing is it brings down the frequencies that compete with the human voice so we can hear the voiceover more clearly while still being able to hear the music.
In the ocean depths, I was sure to meet an untimely death, until an ocean angel lifted.
Step 5, titles. To add a title, select the title tool, click over the image in the program monitor, and start typing. A new clip gets created in your timeline representing the text. I'll write lifeguard, and with that clip selected, it gets loaded into the Effect Controls panel where we'll modify its properties. We can change the font, size, position, and color to anything we'd like. I'll disable the fill value and enable stroke. Make sure it's white and bring its width up to 3. I think I'd prefer to show the title at the end over the black background, so I'll move it towards the end of the edit. Now that we have a professional edit with titles, speed changes, and sweetened audio, we're ready for the funnest part and the cherry on top, which is the color grading. To get this set up, we'll go to Windows, Workspaces, and select Color. Now we can see the scopes and the Lumetri color panel. Lumetri Color is the set of tools that Premiere has for color grading, like sliders, wheels, and curves. With these tools, we can modify the exposure and color balance of the clips using the scopes as our guide so we don't over or underexpose our footage. Let's take this clip that shows both characters. First, we need to convert it from log to Rec 709 so it has nice contrast and saturation. By the way, the clips you have from ArtGrid already have this applied, but if you're dealing with log footage, the easiest way to convert log footage is with a log to Rec 709 conversion LUT. To apply it, go to the base correction section in Lumetri, Input LUT, and browse for the correct LUT. In this case, the red wide gamut LUT. By the way, you can get this LUT as part of our 70 free colorist LUTs. It includes several log to Rec 709 LUTs for the most popular cameras, look LUTs, and film emulation LUTs. I'll include a link for them in the description below and in the card above. You can bookmark that link and then come back here. Alright, so this image is looking too cool, so we want to balance the color. To do that, adjust the white balance with the temperature and tint sliders. The lifeguard swimsuit looks a little overly saturated, so we'll go to the curves and use the eyedropper in the Hue saturation curve. When we click over the red swimsuit, it automatically adds points to the curve, isolating those reds. So when we bring the point in the middle down, it lowers the saturation in the shorts. This gives us a good starting point. The next step would be shot matching between clips so exposure and color balance match across the scene. And then a final step of applying a final look grade to the entire piece. Color grading is such a big topic that we won't dive into deep here, but we do have an entire channel dedicated to color grading. So if you'd like to learn more, then I suggest subscribing and checking out the grading videos on our channel. I do want to point out though, there is a shortcut to getting a big budget cinema look that I alluded to at the beginning, and here are the results of what that gives.
Drowning in the ocean depths, I was sure to meet an untimely death. Until an ocean angel lifted me up, I came back to life with a breathless gulp.
You can see looking at the finished edit with final grading how much this sets it apart into something that looks expensive and cinematic. We have one more step before I reveal what this shortcut is. Step 7, the export. To export our final edit for sharing or uploading to the web, we'll create in and out points with the hotkeys I and O in the timeline to mark the beginning and the end of the edit. Then go to File, Export, Media, and the export window shows up. Type a name, choose a location, and an export preset. There's a convenient one for YouTube, which will be perfect for any digital platform. Hit export, wait a few seconds, and that's it. Now, if you've followed these 7 steps all the way through, you'll get a professional looking video all done inside of Adobe Premiere Pro. So what is the trick for getting cinematic looking video? Well, this is something that I obsess over and I've devoted an entire career to achieving. Rather than pushing on color wheels or sliders where you have to actually take your eyes off the image, color grading is easier when you're able to literally click on things in the image and then make a change. Take, for example, brightening shadows that are too dark. By clicking on the shadow areas and dragging up, you're able to brighten the shadows without affecting the rest of the image. The software automatically knows that I want to adjust the shadows. Things like the color of the sky can be changed by literally clicking on it and dragging, or fine-tune the color of the skin tones by clicking and dragging. Scopes are beneficial, but having a false color feature allows you to see exposure ranges as sort of a heat map where red is clipped or overexposed, and with this, you'll be able to just click and drag down to recover highlight detail. Shadows that are too dark or crushed show as purple, so you're able to click and drag up. And if you're unsure where the skin tones should be, well, this is easy as they should be in the gray, green, and pink areas. Something that Premiere doesn't have is the ability to preview LUTs or see what they do before applying them, or at least accurately with the base correction applied. You see, normally you'd have to browse through LUTs from a drop-down list or cycle through them one by one, which again, doesn't have the base correction applied to the preview. But with something like this, you're able to see what LUTs and presets do, and this makes finding the right look for your project super easy and fun. There are, of course, other professional things like shot matching, copying corrections from one clip to another, support for auto correction with the X-Rite color checker chart, and so much more. The shortcut I'm showing here is a plugin for Adobe Premiere called CinemaGrade. So instead of having to spend weeks or months trying to learn all this stuff and sifting through the web for reliable grading tutorials, the CinemaGrade plugin with the Academy training in the Filmmaker package is a one-stop shop for getting a cinematic look and delivering professional video to the web. If you'd like to find out more about CinemaGrade, you can click the card above and I'll include it as the first link in the description below. Because you've made it this far and I want to see you succeed in your journey, you can get 20% off of CinemaGrade for a limited time using discount code YouTube20 at checkout. If you have any questions about the tutorial or CinemaGrade, let me know in the comments below and I'm happy to help you out. For more videos like this, click the subscribe button and then the bell to be notified of our next one. I'll see you in the next video. Let's make cinema quality video.